Caitanya Caritamrta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatani Shatani Jaya Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Shunkadaya Krishna Kristaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gora Lalita Charani Om Akyanatamanandasya Janardana Salakaya Chaksusamanitam Zena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Caitanya Manavistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sa Pandantikam Vanchakalpa Trubhischa Kripasindhavaya Vata Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishalevi. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu has left the house of Advaita Charja after taking sannyas, and he has traveled to Puri. Last week we heard of Radhaman, maybe a bit, some of the ecstasies he was experiencing as he was traveling, completely dependent on Krishna. In ecstasy, just chanting, and he dealt with tax collectors, and everyone was overwhelmed by Mahaprabhu's ecstatic mood. And then, eventually, where we'll start today is that he reaches Ramuna, the place of Gopinath, Kirchur Gopinath. So he stayed there at the night, in the evening. So Mahaprasad Kir Lobe Rahilo Prabhu Tata, that he wanted to taste some of the kir that had been offered to Gopinath. Here is Prabhupada's translation. The Lord remained there. Why? He was very eager to receive the remnants of sweet rice offered to the Gopinath deity, having heard a narration from his spiritual master, Ishwara Puri, of what had once happened there. So we're going to enter into a very mysterious and wonderful pastime that takes up the entire chapter of the Gopinath deity, of Gopal deity, and Sri Madhavendra Puri. And this was narrated to Mahaprabhu by Sri Ishwara Puri, his own spiritual master. And Ishwara Puri was disciple of Madhavendra Puri, who was especially blessed by Madhavendra Puri. And the blessings ended up giving him the association of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Lord, as his disciple. So the deity, this is text 19, was known widely as Kir Chor Gopinath. And that means, Chor means stealing, and Kir is this particular type of sweet rice. So the Gopinath who stole the sweet rice, raise your hand if you've been to Ramuna. Just 1, 2, you were there.
Ramuna River?
Ramuna City.
Oh no.
Ramuna. Jamuna. Have you been there?
No, Ramuna. No.
You've been to the Jamuna River. Yeah. What do you think of the Jamuna River?
Amazing.
In what sense?
It's Vrindavan. I mean,
a different universe.
I woke up one morning and it was just, it's very sweet. I mean, the dust is sweet, isn't it?
Have you eaten some?
Yes, first thing. Nishingadeh told me first thing we got off the bus.
Yeah.
Remember Nishingadeh?
Yeah.
You put the dust in your mouth and it's just sweet as sugar.
You have a special tongue and relationship with the dust of Vrindavan too. Oh, wonderful. And what do you think of Ramuna? You're the only one, almost the only one who's been to Ramuna.
It's a long time back, maybe 25 years ago.
25 years ago?
With my dad and Cormac from Mayapur.
Okay.
Small town, kind of remote and peaceful and quiet. And Madhavendra Puri's samadhi, I think, is there, and his shoes are there. And I remember I think you can actually witness the Abhishek of the deity. They don't close the doors. You can actually see the morning worship. And the kheer, it's not actually sweet rice, it's actually condensed milk. There's no rice in it. And the preparation that's mentioned.
Yes. And something about Gopinath.
He's like bending, I think. Not straight, standing.
Have you taken this young lad there? He's been to Cyprus, but not Ramuna. What? You should register an official complaint. So the deity was known widely as Kir Chor Gopinath. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu told his devotees the story of how the deity became so famous. Formerly, the deity had stolen a pot of sweet rice. So Prabhupada translates the kheer as sweet rice for Madhavendra Puri. He stole. What do you think about a deity stealing? What do you think?
Affection.
Huh?
Affection.
Affection, yeah. Because what is, do you know what the deity is? The word deity in English is a Latin word basically from the word Dios, which means God. So because the deity stole, because the deity is Krishna, and Krishna is also famous for stealing, being chor, and his name is therefore
Kirchhoff.
But how about in Vrindavan, what is he known as? Makunja. What does that mean?
He's a butter thief.
He's the butter thief. So this deity, Gopinath, became famous as the deity, the Lord who stole the sweet rice. Once, Sri Madhavendra Puri traveled to Vrindavan. So here's the beginning of the story, and it doesn't begin in Ramuna. It begins as Madhavendra Puri travels to Vrindavan. And there he came upon the hill which is known as Govardhan. Raise your hand if you've seen Govardhan Hill. Mataji, you haven't seen? Have you seen? What? You should leave immediately and go see Govardhan Hill. But if you can't go all the way immediately to Vrindavan, we have some Giriraj Shilas in here that you can see very easily. Because Giriraj Govardhan is very wonderful, very, very special, and very sweet. My best joke about Giriraj Govardhan, he's the original rock star. So he came upon the hill known as Govardhan. Madhavendra Puri was almost mad in his ecstasy of love of Godhead. And he did not know whether it was day or night. He was so internally absorbed in his relationship with Krishna. He was so internally absorbed, he was unaware of the externals, day or night, hungry, thirsty. His internal absorption in love was so great. Sometimes he stood up, sometimes he fell to the ground. He could not discriminate whether he was in a proper place or not. This is the depth of Madhavendra Puri's love for Krishna. And Chaitanya Bhagavat describes Madhavendra Puri's meeting with Nityananda Prabhu, and they were just, both of them were so absorbed in ecstasy and would embrace and fall to the ground, and tears would be coming from their eyes. Madhavendra Puri is the one who is said he brought prema bhakti into this world. So after circumambulating the hill, after circumambulating Govardhan Hill, Sri Madhavendra Puri went to Govindakund. And there he took his bath. He bathed in Govindakund. He then sat beneath a tree to take his evening rest. So there are a few trees, at least one or maybe two, where it is said this is where Madhavendra Puri rested and where he had darshan of Krishna, as we shall hear. While he was sitting beneath a tree, an unknown cowherd boy came to him with a pot of milk, and he placed it before Madhavendra Puri, and smiling, he addressed him as follows: "O Madhavendra Puri, please drink the milk that I have brought. Why don't you beg some food to eat? What kind of meditation are you undergoing?" He was internally absorbed. And Madhavendra Puri was so dependent on Krishna, he was so detached from the laws of this material world, from the events of this material world, that he wouldn't even beg food to eat. And what was his thinking? He wouldn't get a job, he wouldn't go and steal food, he wouldn't beg food, he wouldn't pay for food. How is he going to eat? So his firm conviction and faith, and it bore out completely, given myself to Krishna. Tripte varanam tata. I have given myself to Krishna. I am Krishna's servant. Provide food for the servant. And if Krishna doesn't provide me food, okay, I won't eat. Because I'm completely dependent upon Krishna. This is Gotripte Varanam Tata. So he didn't beg even. With full faith that if Krishna wants to feed me, he'll feed me. So what do you think of this? This is very, let's say, unless one is on this platform, we shouldn't try to imitate it. Platform of what? Platform of faith, of devotion, of love, of surrender, of giving oneself completely to Krishna and experiencing that reciprocation from Krishna constantly. Actually, Krishna is feeding us continuously, because usually we think that we are the ones feeding us. But where does the air come from that we're breathing? Where does the water come from that is nourishing the plants? What is the miracle that takes a seed and what do you add? Water. Just add some water to the seed and put it in some soil, and then suddenly it starts growing. It could be sitting there, the seed could be sitting there for 1,000 years. And you add some water and it starts growing. And what does it grow into? A tree. What kind of a tree?
And from the seed?
Yeah, so what does it grow into? A tree necessarily. Okay, what kind of tree were you imagining it was growing into?
I was thinking of a banyan tree.
A banyan tree. Okay. And then what kind of fruits come from a banyan tree?
No.
But it's amazing, because in one of the little banyan tree fruits, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more banyan trees. So Krishna puts hundreds of small banyan trees into one little fruit. But I was thinking of what kind of a tree that has tasty fruit?
Mango.
Yes, how did you know that? You're a very good man. I think everyone knew that. So you plant that, and somehow all you're doing is adding water, and it's the same soil, and suddenly a mango comes out, or the most fragrant of flowers. So without the rain and the soil and the amazingness of seeds, or the amazing nourishment of how a cow eats grass and turns the grass into milk. How in the world is that possible, turning grass into milk? And the cow does it with a system of 2 different stomachs and whatever. And it turns grass, which we don't eat, into milk, which is sufficient for us to live on, practically speaking, as long as we're not milk intolerant, like some people. But so Krishna ultimately is feeding us, or even if I've heard Prabhupada speak about this even in a recent lecture I was hearing, and if you have so much food in front of you, if Krishna doesn't give you the fire of digestion, you can't eat, or if he gives you a great fever, or he makes you so angry. Can you eat when you're angry? Very angry? Of course you don't. You never get angry at anyone, but for us normal mortal human beings. So it's not the food, it's not the money. Ultimately, it's Krishna. So Madhavendra Puri was so dependent on Krishna and so trusting and faithful and so much in love with Krishna. So Krishna himself, so he wouldn't beg, and Krishna himself came with milk for him. Of course, he didn't say, I'm Krishna and I've come for milk with you. He was at Govindakund, which is such a special place in Vrindavan, right next to Giriraj Govardhan. This is the place where Indra bathed Krishna, or the Sarabi cow, no, not Sarabi cow, but Indra bathed Krishna, and he was given the name Govinda then, the Lord of the cows. So in this most wonderful place, this remarkably beautiful cowherd boy, he was just maybe the size of this cowherd boy over here, Prasmohan. And he came with a little pot of milk, and he had a peacock feather on his head, and he had a flute. And he said, "Oh, Madhavendra Puri, please drink the milk I have brought. Why don't you beg some food to eat? What kind of meditation are you undergoing?" Because Madhavendra Puri was clearly internally absorbed. When he saw the beauty of that boy, Madhavendra Puri became very satisfied. And this is when we see beauty, it pacifies the consciousness. And to be surrounded by rubble and non-beautiful things, it agitates the consciousness. It doesn't make the consciousness at all peaceful. And in a peaceful consciousness, one can more easily think of Krishna. So the material beauty, of course, Krishna's beauty wasn't material, but to be surrounded by natural beauty. Oh yes, this is a tree right by near Govindakund, actually. So to be surrounded by natural beauty and the natural atmosphere of even a village, just the heart becomes much more pacified. What kind of meditation are you undergoing? And what was Madhavendra Puri's meditation? He was thinking always of Krishna with great love, serving Krishna. When he saw the beauty of that boy, Madhavendra Puri became very satisfied. So if we become satisfied seeing material beauty, how satisfied would we be to see the beautiful form of Krishna? And this is why the devotees following the Pancharatriki system do deity worship the deity. For one reason is that those who see the deity look at Krishna's beautiful form and their hearts are so touched. And finally, after being out in the world all day long and then seeing the beauty of Krishna, there's a sigh of relief that yes, now I'm in touch with something that truly brings satisfaction to the soul, truly brings satisfaction to me. And then also the deity, the presence of the deity, gives us an opportunity to practice serving Krishna. Hearing that beautiful boy's sweet words, Madhavendra Puri forgot all hunger and thirst. And he said, "Who are you? Where do you live? Where do you reside? And how did you know that I was fasting?" Because that was Madhavendra Puri's habit, that he would fast until someone offered him some food. And of course the culture was that when there was a sadhu, people would offer him milk or food, and even to this very day when you wander in Vrindavan, or if you walk into the more villagey areas of Vrindavan, the Brajbasis have it as their culture that they will invite you into their house to feed you. Just anyone. You have with wonder, because he didn't consciously think, oh, here is Krishna, but this boy was so emotional. His beauty, his presence in that most holy place, his heart was filled with wonder that this is amazing, he's amazing, what just happened is amazing. So what do you think, Rajmohan, that Madhavendra Puri did with the milk?
Drank it?
Yes, exactly. What should you do when you get prasadam? Immediately, you honor it. So he, even not knowing it was Krishna, was offered that wonderful boy offered him this wonderful milk, and he drank it. And then Madhavendra Puri washed the pot and put it aside. Why did he put it aside? Why did he wash it and put it aside? Because the boy said, "I'll come back later and take back the pot." Madhavendra Puri looked towards the path that the boy had come on, but the boy never returned. So what do you think Madhavendra Puri was thinking? And this very much gives us a hint of how we should live our life. What do you think he was thinking? Premanand, I saw you raised your hand. What do you think he was thinking? He looked towards the path, but the boy didn't return. What do you think he was thinking?
thinking about the boy. Who is he?
And when is he going to return? When will I see this boy again? When will I see this boy again? When will I see this boy again? Who is so beautiful, who spoke so sweetly, who is so attractive. This is the system of Krishna consciousness. Not exactly thinking that we want to see Krishna. Separation, feeling viraha bhava, or feeling separation from Krishna, doesn't mean that you want to feel separation from Krishna. Because if you want to feel separation from Krishna, you won't experience separation from Krishna. But if you want to be with Krishna, to see Krishna, then this is the process that Mahaprabhu taught, to allow separation from Krishna, that mood of when will I see Krishna, to cultivate that mood in the heart. And this, Srila Prabhupada said, was the mood that Mahaprabhu taught and exhibited by the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Hey Radhe, Brajadeva Ke Chalalite, Hey Nanda Shunokata. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? When will I be able to see Krishna? So, the boy never returned. There's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I can't remember the chapter number at the moment, but in Krishna's daily pastimes, daily activities, it describes, I think it was chapter 70, it's chapter 70 of the 10th canto. It describes how Krishna would be sitting when he was living in Dwarka, he would be sitting in the assembly house. And suddenly, while he was sitting there, a representative of kings, some kings came. These kings had been imprisoned by Jarasandha. And they said, and the representative said that we're imprisoned by Jarasandha and we are your servants, we are your devotees, we are surrendered to you. Please come and save us. Please come and rescue us. And then, just as all the assembly house, all the Yadav Kshatriya warriors, they were very happy to hear this. They were getting ready their swords to go out and fight. And then, just then, Narada Muni came, and Narada Muni said that I've come here with a message from Maharaj Yudhisthira. Maharaj Yudhisthira has sent me to invite you to come to the Rajasuya sacrifice that he wants to perform, actually for your glorification. And that's in Hastinapur. So there were 2 proposals that needed immediate action. So Maharaj Yudhisthira, Krishna said, what shall I do? I have 2 things to do at once. And he asked his advisor, Uddhav, to glorify Uddhav. And Uddhav was said, of course you know everything, but you're just doing this to give me some service and just to show your nature and your dependence on devotees. So what should we do, dear Uddhav, the advisor? And Uddhav said, he said that to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, which means becoming emperor of the world, for Yudhisthira to do that King Jarasandha has to be subjugated anyway. So there's a natural order that these 2 deeds should be done. First you have to kill Jarasandha, and then you perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. So Krishna said, very good. This is a very good plan. Thank you very much for your intelligent advice. So they immediately prepared to go to Hastinapur, and from there to go to Magda, the capital of Jarasandha. So they went, and the description in the 71st chapter is incredible, that Krishna went with all his queens and so many elephants and this and that. And when they got there, the kings were still waiting. imprisoned. So the question is, or two questions. First is, do you know how long Krishna actually waited before going there to rescue the kings? Along with, he went with Bhima and Arjuna in disguise. It was a wonderful pastime. Do you know how long he waited before he actually went there to rescue them? He was in Hastinapur, but he didn't go the next day. He didn't go after 2 days or 3 days or 4 days or 5 days or 6 days, all the way up to 89 days. He waited 3 months before going. Now, why did Krishna wait 3 months before going? We can't say. Because Krishna is Krishna. We can't say. So therefore we don't try to say. But how do you think the kings, who already knew that Krishna had promised to come and rescue them, how do you think they were thinking? Day after day after day after day, they were thinking, oh, maybe today will be the day that Krishna comes, that we'll be able to see Krishna. Oh, maybe today, and that didn't happen. Maybe tomorrow, maybe that day, maybe that day. So every day they were thinking, oh, they were like Madhavendra Puri looking down the path. When will they come? When will that boy come back? And then one day, in the case of the kings, after 90 days, Krishna came. And in the case of Madhavendra Puri, listen to what happened. The boy never returned. But Madhavendra Puri could not sleep. He sat and chanted the Hare Krishna mantra. And at the end of the night, he dozed a little bit. He fell a little bit asleep. And his external activities stopped. And then, in a dream, Madhavendra Puri saw the very same boy. So that boy came back, but not down the same path. He chose a different path, the path of his dream, Madhavendra Puri's dream. And the boy came before him. And he held Madhavendra Puri's hand in the dream. And he took him to a bush in the jungle. The boy showed Madhavendra Puri the bush, and he said, I reside in this bush. And because of this, I suffer very much from severe cold, rain showers, wind, and scorching heat. Please bring the people of the village and get them to take me out of this bush. Then have them situate me nicely on top of the hill. Please construct a temple on top of that hill, the boy continued, and install me in that temple. After this, wash me with large quantities of cold water so that my body may be cleansed. For many days, I have been observing you. Now, after I finish this verse, I want you to tell me what you think. For many days I have been observing you, and I have been wondering, when will Madhavendra Puri come here to serve me? What do you think? Yes.
That even though Krishna is so powerful, he still wants to experience the love and the service of his devotees.
Yeah, wonderful answer. Thank you. What else? I mean, I don't have a right answer in mind, so you can tell me what you think about that.
It's good to be observed by the Lord.
That Krishna is seeing We may not know it, but Krishna is observing. And what he sees when he observes us, it's important to, because usually, and this was one of the very important preaching points of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that we think in terms of, I want to see Krishna, and what will I see? And of course, you know what we will do immediately if we see Krishna: pull out our mobile phone and take a selfie, you know, and guess who's with Krishna? It's me! But to change our mindset from the one who sees to the one who is being seen is one of the very important teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that Prabhupada echoed in his way by saying, don't try and see Krishna, but
Let Krishna see.
act in such a way that Krishna sees you. Now, if you really, would that change your life? If you thought that Krishna actually cared enough about you that he's observing you. Just like some parents keep their eye on their little children all the time, just to make sure they're okay. And why do they do that? Just simply out of affection. And sometimes they can give them some instructions and help them in any way, in any time they need help, they can be there. So if we could capture that point that Krishna, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Ridhishet Arjuna Tishtati Sarvasyacham Ridhishet, that Krishna not has his eye on us, in the sense of, he has his eye on us, he has his eyes on us, but not in the sense of he's taking notes, saying, okay, now you did this. No, that one we'll give you a check for, that was pretty good. And now, no, and no, this one, sorry, that's not up to the standard, -2. Oh, that's really not up to the standard, -5. And for the good things, you're going to get rewarded, and for the bad things, you're going to get the thunderbolt. Not at all like that, but in the same way that a loving parent stays with always their beloved child. And to know that we're being observed. It's a very interesting point. So Krishna says that to Madhavendra Puri, I have been observing you. And what did he see? What did he see? He saw Madhavendra Puri completely internally absorbed in thinking of Krishna with devotion in the mood of service. And how did Krishna respond to that? How does he say he responded to the fully sincere and devoted mood of Madhavendra Puri? How did he respond? He said, I've been wondering, when will Madhavendra Puri come here to serve me? Krishna, who has unlimited servants, unlimited goddesses of fortune even serve him, still wants the service of anyone who wants to serve him with devotion. What do you think about that?
Hopeful.
What do you mean by hopeful?
This opportunity for service, because Krishna always wants us to be able to be in that position.
Nice. Any other thoughts?
Maybe a little frightened because the idea of actually having devotion, like How much devotion does one have when one serves?
It's humbling. Because that means not only does Krishna see the sincerity, but he also sees everything else. And unless you know that he's Bhavagrahi Janardana, that he's just could you imagine if there was a CCTV, closed circuit TV, on you all the time, and someone was watching you at every moment? I think it would probably make us a little bit crazy. But that person is Krishna. Oh, if you want to do that, okay. But when will you turn to me? And then when someone has actually turned to Krishna sincerely, Krishna sees that and helps yayatamam papadyante. And then Krishna said to him, Tomar prema vasikori seva angikar darshana diya nistariva sakala samsar. I have accepted your service. Why? Due to your ecstatic love for me. Thus I shall appear, and by my audience all fallen souls will be thus delivered. My name is Gopal. I am the lifter of Govardhan Hill. I was installed by Vajra, the great-grandson of Krishna. And here I am the authority. When the Muslims attacked the priest who was serving me, hid me in this bush in the jungle. Then he ran away out of fear of the attack. And since the priest went away, I have been staying in this bush. It is very good that you have come here. Now, just remove me with care. After saying this, in the dream, the boy disappeared. Then Madhavendra Puri woke up and he began to consider his dream. Madhavendra Puri began to lament. I saw Lord Krishna directly at Saksha Darshan. I saw Krishna. Krishna came to me, right in front of me, and I could not recognize him. Thus, he fell to the ground in ecstatic love. He cried for some time, but then he fixed his mind on executing the order of Gopal. Thus, he became peaceful. He became fixed in the naturalness of the relationship with Gopal, with Krishna, and that was service. And then, how did he serve? And that we shall continue in the very near future. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
At the Govardhan retreat where we have near the Balakrishna ashram, there is a temple of Gopal at the top of the hill. Is that the same temple which was established by Madhavendra Puri, or is it a different?
There's two temples. One is an old temple. I don't know if it was exactly as... I don't know. Madhavendra Puri, you will hear what they did, but it wasn't exactly build a temple. But they installed him and they did something. But there was a newer temple. And this whole struggle went on at some point between the followers of Shripad Ballavacharya and the followers of Mahaprabhu over who will worship the deity, who's in charge. It's a sad struggle, but this is the way of the world. So eventually the Gaudiyas they, let's say, lost the service, but on the other hand, the followers of Sripad Vallabhacharya take care of him very wonderfully. But he's not in Vrindavan, he's in Srinathwar. Have you seen Srinathji Gopal in Nathwar? Have you? Yes? Yes? No? Yes, but no. You don't take them. You've been to Cyprus, but not to... It's a written complaint to the Queen of England. That's what I recommend. Have you been to Nathwar and seen Srinath? It's amazing. Have you? Have you, Mataji? No? Of course, no. It's amazing. It's like when they have darshan, the people there are very devoted, and there's so many of them. And of course, what do they like to do? Push, yes. So you get pushed from this side to that side, and if you don't like getting pushed, and if you get upset when you're getting pushed, you're going to be upset all the time. But if you think of it like you're in the ocean, and like the ocean waves are pulling you this way, and then pulling you that way, and pulling this way, then it's really wonderful. You have to learn how to surf the people, the pushing of the people, and it's so wonderful. Yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Yes.
How did Madhavendra Puri's, Sri Madhavendra Puri's conscience become absorbed in Krishna?
I mean, how did he become Krishna conscious, or how do you become Krishna conscious? Which one would you rather hear?
Well, I want to become Krishna conscious, but he was more Krishna conscious.
Yes, that's a fact. Which one would you rather hear?
Both.
You're a greedy man. I don't know how. I think he came from the spiritual world, basically. I've never seen it mentioned that all the associates of Mahaprabhu were Nitya Siddha. They're eternal associates of Krishna. So it's not that he became Krishna conscious. Like all the eternal associates were always with Krishna, and they come to this world to display activities in conjunction along with Krishna. And then the trickier question is, how do I become Krishna conscious? The answers, of course, are very easy to understand, but not so easy to do, unless we have deep, full sincerity. So usually we step by step move forward. But the key point in becoming Krishna conscious is association with devotees. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. Sarva Shastra Koi Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So we want to associate with exalted devotees, and we also want to hear the pastimes of Krishna. And then some taste can come to our heart, and born of that taste is a desire, an attraction for Krishna, and a desire to be with Krishna. And that's the most valuable thing that we have. That desire should be taken care of it's valuable. Like, say, all the diamonds and rubies that you have, that you're of your own, you take care of them very carefully, correct? Yes?
I guess.
Obviously, I was just about to ask you, where do you keep them? But you already understood that, so you wouldn't let me know that you even have them. Okay, any other questions? And chant Hare Krishna always, and all problems solved.
Shri Krishna Prabhu from Melbourne have asked. Shri Krishna Prabhu from Melbourne have asked that normally we don't take service from Krishna. So when we are in a mood of Madhavendra Puri, that whenever Krishna will supply me food.
That wasn't his mood. Oh yeah. I won't take food. Krishna will arrange for me to feed me.
We are taking service from Krishna.
But yet we should always depend on Krishna. That's what it means to be surrendered. Gotrupte varanam tata. That we are dependent on Krishna like a servant is dependent upon his master. And we can't avoid, on one level, taking service from Krishna. Because if he doesn't make our heart beat, our own heart will attack us. In every way, for the breathing, for the air, for the water, for everything, we're dependent on Krishna. But the mood of the devotee isn't, okay, Krishna, you're 15 minutes late for lunch. That's not, it's how can I please you? That's the mood of a devotee. His mood is service, but the reality is that we can't help but being fully dependent on Krishna for everything. But the mood of a devotee is to it can start with appreciation and gratefulness, and how can I do something for Krishna? What can I do for Krishna? What can I do to please him? He who's given me so much, that's the simplest mood. He who's given me so much, what can I do to please him? What can I do to someone who already has everything? So let me do whatever I do, whatever service I can perform. I'm so fortunate. And let me do that with devotion. That's, as an offering. Let me do it in such a way that you will be pleased, my dear Krishna. So thank you, Sri Krishna, for your nice question. Any last question? Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Sri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur. Jai Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Hare Krishna.